I was at a real studio. So, yeah, I will, yeah, no, but I was literally driving village. I say, yeah, yeah, already. Where is the wine? It's on a place. Okay, first of all, get water here. See, now you just start running thing, not just they, they go on a full meal. When you time where you develop about all three, or who gets that one? Yeah. So that's right. That's right. That's right. All right. That's an interesting story. And that's the whole thing. You mentioned when you range. You know, the thing like, no, we're not. You just over and then we just said about $20 and $10 a pound. This is all over the world, not just California or US, all over the world. So you let know a lot of Trump. So then we can let grab material. So that's pretty mission. Yeah, this is a Bible film. I don't like the other, but the blonde said, oh, yeah, that's very nice. So he's why I think, I'm going to say that she's new that, girl cause I had, with the main role. A lot of stuff I didn't know. Let's see. Well, talk about what they've been doing is songs. And so I said, would you want to just talk about it? He said, sure, this is, we started. Yes, and he told I had to do it, and we ended up having two sessions. Because usually we don't like a 30 minutes. So in 30 minutes we just make it a second session, and wow, it's just not out there. It's a lot of knowledge. Yes, he does. I think Lord, I think work with the kids. I do want it. That's what I'm saying. And that's the thing that I've been driven to the Lord. Okay, they like it read ministry in the system. But you want to have people on that ministry that loves kids. And so it's because you love kids and love work. What you do when they have exposure, you want the extra mile. Or you just not content. Or just this. You know what I'm saying? You do and they don't meet their needs. I mean, no, you know, expose them to say, Charles, 4 or 5, actually, with women in the ministry, and that's how the Prince ever from Southern Africa. Why does it well, how do you do it? And what's your be? And how does it feel? And how did you do it? And blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so there's a lot. There's a lot of it. And what our systems for us, 13, 14 months, was somebody to do about people doing, about just the needs and everybody else. Yeah. So just think about it and whatever you want, just call me up, talk to listen. So I said, tell it already. I got lazy. Y'all should get on event or ministry where they're dealing with children, youth, and y'all thought we should really on that. That's our heart. Oh, everything, it's actually all this on this. And you just pray about a nice show you to interact or communicate. It's interesting you say that. Yeah, right. We already. This is push and already got cash. I'm following the same guy you are. Sure. Oh, yeah, you know, stuff like that. And I just want to see just anybody leading and directing that or so large and just right. Exactly. If it is such not a machine, where sweet life say, Exactly.
Yeah. By the way,
I figure so. Doing so, we call it. I'll let you say the podcast professor. Podcast professor, right? Now, this is a podcast, but sometimes it's so. We're not going over, but that's usually so big shot. So I'm getting out of the but there's my hands to feel fun. What? Skill set. God, let me teach them that skill set. God knows it's not a 70-year-old like I'll be fine. It's a 60-year-old. That's the skills. And why shouldn't we teach them how to be? Why can't that be part of what we call team? That's the key with where they are. Right? So, every time we leaders making a mistake and saying, well, come over where I am, all right. That's not the way it works. Yeah, your biology, I really where you are. Okay, so I got to meet you where you are. And then so, okay, how can we get out of here? But another challenge, did you tell her about the boys to men?
mm,
Did you tell her about the boys to men?
yeah, I kind of gave her a little. Yeah, I told Pastor. Pastor, he said, that's it.
That's it. And so we said, okay, well, so we said, March 1st, because when we began, if you even more specific, so, but we have our podcast best of one.
In fact, I'm actually searching for that domain.
I didn't bother right there. We need tickets. You find that domain. Someone might answer. What's your what? Funny stuff. Yeah, he's out on the way. He's out so we can do our thing. So is it?
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
over?
Yeah.
Once for her, I feel shit.
Right, just because, to your point, you're supposed to encompass or work in alignment with RE
Okay.
for the youth,
Right.
all you. And that action, and I was thinking about this as I was diddling around with it. Why, to your point of having a special section on the youth, we've got about 4 minutes or so, to make it available for everyone.
That's pretty good. Not only right, so I'm not.
But a little bit of concentration on the end of
Right.
I didn't know what was doing it. Oh, it's crap. Well, that's insane. It's a scholar well that I can be. You let me know. For one podcast, that go right. And this, you got in conversation just like right over right now. And it's just being recorded. Post production, I'll do the editing or whatever, trim thing, and all that there. So what we class it, Martin? What lessons have you learned in all of the years of experience in leading women's leadership or whatever, what did it work? It's to do get a 25 milligram bomb in the church. You said, you know what? I don't want to be in church. What would you tell her? Okay. Blah, 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 blah. That's just because you have that knowledge that we don't have. And we just have to say, like casual Christian conversation.
that's it. That's it. That's it right there.
Not from a casual Christian conversation
Or warm chatter.
Yeah. That's all around church. All around the
They call it warm chatter.
but you're in the elevator and whatever. The subtlety word casual would be like more, no chat. It's just your mood, not something. Yeah, the black. I had no idea when Jackson Back started, was working my story, that all the stuff was really wrong. I had no idea. But it's been a great experience
to see what was possible. I didn't know what was possible. I really don't know, and that was a couple of weeks. But this, and it's exciting. I say, I see Doctor was $600 level. It's $600. It's like, you were saying, nah. But I'm fine. Like I said, my husband's like, yeah, I remember that song. Why? Well, we can see. Matter of fact, more at all. Yeah. Thanks for coming out on this beautiful day. Another day that the Lord has made. Like this is the leadership master class. I am master of ceremonies, Jesus. But the reason that we're here is to hear a person who is uniquely qualified to present material. And it's going to be very special today. Very personal. I've heard previews of it, and you're going to learn things you did not know about the host, who is actually very uniquely qualified. He is a graduate of the Yale University School of Medicine. He's also a graduate of the Western State Law School. So he's a medical doctor and he's an attorney. Not only that, he's the former hospital surveyor for the Joint Convention. Excuse me, not convention. Commission. I'm thinking of a conversation that we just had in there. Have the convention, but he is a former hospital surveyor for the Joint Commission. He's also Chief Transformation Officer for the Citrus Valley Health Partners. And many of you might be familiar with the Central, what used to be called the Citrus Valley Medical Center. I've had surgery on my knee in my feet thing. Yes. He's also currently the president of Choctaw Medical. He's also currently and still an author of multiple books. Yes. And he's also currently the podcast host of a Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise podcast. I like to present to some and introduce to others. Our host, Dr. William T. Choctaw, MD, J. All right.
Robert Andrew Collins. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Having a scripture, and then we have a prayer. And our scripture today is going to be taken from Isaiah chapter 54, verses 14 through 17. And it reads thus: "A righteousness shall not be its status. Thou shalt be far from oppression, but thou shalt not fear, and from terror. For it shall not come near thee. Behold, they shall surely gather together, but not by me. Whosoever shall gather together against thee shall fall for thy sake. Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. And I have created the waters, the waste to destroy. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and their righteousness is of the Lord." That God will listen and be a reading and do his own word. Let's go to the Lord of prayer. Father God, I'm asking to come to you this morning, my Father. First, we just want to thank you, Lord, because my Father, you have looked beyond our fault and saw our needs. You have blessed us beyond measure, spiritual, physical, mental, and financial. You have brought us to this point in time in our life, my Father. And we're here only because of you, Lord. So we pray, my Father, that you open our hearts, open our minds, my Father, so we can be able to receive what you have for us to receive from Dr. Choctaw, our Father. Father, no matter we use the things that we hear, use the things that we learn by those that you have sent to us to give it to us, my Father. So bless those, my Father, and bless this meeting, my Father. And let it be all that you want to be. In your daughter, Son, Jesus Christ, Holy Ghost. That's right. Amen.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to our Leadership Masterclass. I am delighted to be here and delighted to see all of you here and all of you who are out there on Zoom. We have a very unique and a very, I believe, interesting topic for you today in light of the fact that this is Black History Month. And I call it American History Month, but both terms share a presentation today that's part of my personal story that's also relevant in my judgment to Black History Month. And the title is When I Met Martin Luther King. And we'll sort of start with that. Part of what a scholar many years ago felt that there should be a special month for celebrating African American history of Black history. And so after many years of politicking and going back and forth, they were able to get a law passed through Congress to make this a Black History Month. As always, I like to start off with my beliefs, and we do this with every single master class. And you may ask yourself, well, why do you talk about your beliefs? Beliefs are why they should do things. There's what, there's who, and there's when. But many times it's important to know the why you do things. These are the whys that I do things. And I share it with you, suggesting you that at your leisure, that you have a conversation with the person in the mirror and say, why am I doing X? Or why am I doing Y? Or why am I Z? My beliefs are, I believe life is about being of service to others. I believe it's important that all of us reach out and help other people. I believe knowledge is power, which is why we're doing these masterclass series. That the more you know, that the more you'll be able to do and contribute to others. And I believe leaders can change the world. If you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, you look at your TV and say, why in the world does this happen or that happen? I would suggest to you change it. Do something. To figure out what you can do, what are your skill sets, and put them to work to help others. As always, this is part of our masterclass series, and I'm very grateful to you, Pastor Dr. St. Stephen Missionary Baptist Church, in which I have been a member for 46 years, and to be able to provide these presentations to you. So we're going to talk about leadership. We're going to talk about leadership. And honestly, that leadership is going to be associated with one of the most famous leaders, Martin Luther King Jr. As always, I like to put up an outline, and the purpose of the outline is to give you an idea of what I'm going to talk about, but more importantly, to let you know what I've just about done. So we're going to talk about my mother many times, and I mentioned her name before, Amanda. We're going to talk about Black History Month. We'll talk about Black fathers, because that's a part of our presentation today and part of what we're trying to get across. We're going to mention the Civil Rights Act of 1964, arguably, in my opinion, the single most important Civil Rights Act passed by the United States of America and signed by the President of the United States of America. And we'll talk about evidence of that it shows, so you may be familiar with that. So, for a number of years now, we've been celebrating Black History Month during the month of February. Some people joke and say, well, why is it celebrated in the shortest month of the year? I have no idea. But I just think, again, look at all the positive. I think it's good that it's celebrated. I'm not going to put with how many days of the month. That's a different issue. And it can go from Frederick Douglass, who was an abolitionist many, many years ago, who felt very strongly that African Americans should achieve the ultimate scholarship. And some of you may remember that there was a difference in philosophy between Booker T. Washington and Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass and W.E.B. Du Bois, and Booker T. Washington. Booker T. Washington felt that a Negro, and I'll use the term affectionately, the Negroes just to be satisfied with where we are. We should be the best for whatever we're doing, and should not try to get above, where in effect God has given us. W.E.B. Du Bois felt that we should be doctors of lawyers as presidents of the United States, et cetera, that we should always be striving for more. And so that was a legitimate argument, legitimate discussion within the African American community about what should you do and not. My journey, what I'm going to put with this is to talk about our own personal life. Now, part of my life is, and I mentioned this before, I did not grow up with a father in the home. I grew up with a single parent, my mother, who was 17 years old when I was born. When I was born, she had to drop out of high school because when you're 17 and if you're a girl, you get pregnant, and you can't finish high school. There was no makeup, there was no remedial anything. So imagine if you know a 17-year-old girl who gets pregnant as a child by herself, and just imagine what that must feel like. So growing up, I said, did not have a father, so I would make up fathers. I would create in my mind, if I had a father, what would he be like? And how would he act? And how would he treat me? And I always said the beauty of it, when you can create it, then you can make him into what you want. So I did it. I did it. And I concluded that this is about the time I'm in high school. I had decided on 3 men that I had heard about. Some I had met, some I had not. The first one was Martin Luther King. And I'm sure a lot of people my age in the 60s consider him like a father figure or would like their father to be like Martin Luther King. The second was a person named Dr. Isaac Miller. Dr. Miller was a professor of biochemistry. When I was in high school, I got the opportunity to study at Tennessee State just in the summer. And that was when I met Dr. Miller. I was very impressed. And let me parenthetically say that if you are a student in school, in junior high or high school, summer is not vacation time. Summer is not vacation time. You're supposed to do extra academic work in the summer. Use the summertime to either catch up or get ahead. But summer is not alone to be vacation time. And the third person was Dr. John Lewis Powell. He was a pastor at my church when I graduated from high school and joined church in college. What was very interesting about these 3 men, and they didn't know each other, was I found out that they all belonged to an organization called Alpha Phi. Now, I didn't know what that meant. And Alpha Phi Alpha is a fraternity. I didn't know what a fraternity was. One of the people that was most influential in my life, other than my mother and some of the school teachers, was my social worker. I was assigned a social worker by the name of Juanita Wall, and she was like a surrogate mother for me. And so I would ask her, I said, what does this mean? What was also unique about Ms. Walker was she'd gone to college. Nobody in my circle of operation, at home or at church or whatever, had ever gone to college. So I never got to talk to college people. I didn't know what that was like. But she explained to me. She said, well, there are a group of people, there are men that are called fraternities and women are called sororities, and they're social service people that they help folks and blah, 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 blah. But what I started to understand was while I was in high school, these individuals were helping people. They would give me $50 scholarship. They would buy clothes for me. And I would say, I don't know that. I don't understand. And she says, well, these are just things that they do. So I said, okay, all right. I sort of let it go with that. The other thing that was very unique about these 3 men was they all had doctorate degrees. Now, my mother had already told me at age 5 or so that she wanted me to be a doctor. So that was a given. And that wasn't anything that I really thought about. So I'm just trying to set this up in terms of where we're going. So I have a mother who is my father and editor. And then I created fictitious fathers for me, or dream fathers for me. And when I found out, ironically, was they all belonged to the same fraternity. Didn't know what that meant, but I just sort of put that in the back of my head. This fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, was formed in 1906. And fraternities and sororities are only formed in colleges. Okay. And so I said, 1906? You mean to tell me that were Black men at a college in 1906? I said, I didn't know that. Because the only white college was in 1906. And keep in mind, during my early years, we were barred, at least I thought, from attending predominantly white schools. But what it told me was, and this organization was formed at Cornell University, which is a Ivy League school. So, it was just confusing to me, but I thought it was interesting. So to make a lot of this sort of make sense, I put in my timeline of high school, college, medical school, along with what we're going to talk about, the civil rights movement. So one of the ways to look at what we're talking about, this is American history. This is American history. One of my favorite subjects in high school, even though I was considered myself a scientist and on my way to medical school, was I love American history. I still do. I still do. I graduated from high school in 1965. Okay. I started Tennessee State University in Nashville in 1965, and I graduated from Tennessee State in 1969. I then started Yale Medical School in 69, and I graduated from Yale Medical School in 1970. So it gives you a time frame in terms of where I was and what I was doing. And so keep those numbers in mind as we walk through the rest of this presentation this thought. What was going on in the country in the early 60s? So to you who are Gen Zs and Generation X's, talk to your parents about this, because a lot of this will make a lot of sense. But those of you who are baby boomers, you know what I'm talking about, because you've been through just as much as I've been. Okay. I can remember in 1960, there was a lot of buzz about this new guy who was running for president. And his name is John Fitzgerald Kennedy. And people were all excited, at least in the African American community, where I spent all of my time in Nashville, about, he's more liberal and he believes in equal equality. And the African American community was just very, 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 very excited. And the other thing is that John Kennedy was controversial in my community, not among African Americans that much, but among the white members in Nashville. I think, believe it or not, is because their biggest fear was, oh my God, he was Catholic. And they said, we have never had a Catholic president in this country. And what does that mean? Does that mean that the vote is going around the country? Blah, blah, blah. It's just a lot of silliness. And my point is that when you are afraid of something, you think of silly stuff. It's just normal. They don't really think of that. And needless to say, John Kennedy was one of the most famous presidents we ever had. And his being Catholic or not Catholic really didn't matter. But as you all know, he was assassinated in 1963. Dallas, Texas, riding in an open limousine. Also in the early 60s, there was a person named Medgar Evers, who was president of the National Association of Colored People, NAACP, in Mississippi, was also assassinated. And fast forward from 1963, also in 1963, that was when there was the March on Washington. Remember that. This is the I Have a Dream speech by Martin Luther King, 1963. These things are very, very closely related timelines. One of the things about the Martin Luther King speech was it was done in preparation to help to get a president at the time, Lyndon Johnson. And Lyndon Johnson was president because Kennedy had been assassinated. Lyndon Johnson was vice president. And so ultimately, automatically, he was going to become president. So all this was happening at some, this is in the early 60s, between 60 and 65 that year. I'm in junior high and high school about this time. When Martin Luther King gave his speech, his I Have a Dream speech, they stopped class in my house. I was in 10th grade, 10th grade, 10th, 11th grade, and they huddled us all in the cafeteria to watch this big black and white globe. Actually, there were little black and white. They were not big with the rabbit ears. Some of you baby boomers, you know what I'm talking about. You Gen Zs, you had a clue what a rabbit ear is. But that's talk to your parents and grandparents. And we watched the and we were all just so impressed and elevated, and oh my God, things are getting better and better. And at that speech, Martin Luther King stood behind Lyndon Johnson. That's him sitting at the desk. And you notice all the pen on his table. And this is a tradition that continues to this day. When the president of the United States signs a bill, he uses a pen per letter. And that's why he has so many pens on his desk. And then he takes those pens after he signed the bill and he turns around and he gives it to someone or some individuals who he believes have been instrumental in getting the bill passed. And there you see him in 1964, after he signed the Civil Rights Act of 1964, he gives this to Martin Luther King. Real quick, American history. I believe, as do some others, that the Civil Rights Act is probably the most important piece of legislation in this country. Again, I'm in high school around this time now. The reason is that it has four components. One is it allowed folks of color to vote. And believe it or not, we were not allowed to vote, and they do things like they would have literacy tests. And keep in mind, most people, particularly African American in the Deep South, did not go to school. They certainly didn't go to college. And so they couldn't pass literacy tests. And it was just a stumbling block. It was just a way to block folks from voting. Why? Because in a democracy, the power is in the vote. So my point very simple is, if you don't do anything, go out and vote, or vote online, or vote in a drop. The other thing was desegregation accommodation and what I was going on. If I went to a hotel, number one, I couldn't go to certain hotels. Number two, I couldn't use certain public bathrooms. I had to go to the bathroom that said color, because the others were reserved for white folks. And you couldn't use certain, you couldn't go to certain movie theaters and on and on and on. This is just a way of life. And this was all that we knew. And probably the most dramatic, and you may be familiar with this, is the schools were not integrated. That was this whole thing called Plessy versus Ferguson, and said separate is equal. Well, what we know then and what we know now is separate is never equal. That's why it's separate. It's not equal. So things that I grew up remembering and that my teachers at school taught all of us is that you want the best in the best. The best of the best. Not to be the burden to the bottom to the level, but keep your eye on the prize and go to the best of the best. And to me, that was an idling call. That was my understanding of what the best was. So that was my question. I guarantee you I was not the smartest kid in my class in high school or in junior high. When I graduated from high school, I had maybe a 3.2 and 3.3 average to be at it. I'm a good student, but I wasn't smart. I didn't have the highest GPA, nor did I have the highest GPA in college. So my point very simply is you don't have to, you just have to work hard. You have to work hard. You got to know what you want and go to work. So I decided, again, I started at Tennessee State in 1965, the summer of 1965. And I applied out fraternity in 1967, 2 years later, because my year sophomore to pledge. And so I pledged the fraternity 2 years later. And the first year that ended up being a member of the fraternity, you call Little Brother. The chicken brothers and Little Brother. I was a Little Brother Choctaw. Little Brother Choctaw. So then let's fast forward. I pledged in 1967. So this is around about the time of spring break, around about March of 67. And so the president said, you know what? Let's take a road trip with free. Yeah, a lot of people, jump on a plane and fly to, or they go to the Bahamas. Say, let's start some family. Oh my goodness! So one of my guys rode his little Mustang. It's got, some of you remember what those little Mustangs look like. There were 5 of us and a little Mustang and that's so far. And we went to Atlanta. And it's mainly just a social. I've never been to Atlanta in my life. But I was a little boy. And, you sort of do what the big brothers say, because they're big brothers. I mean, that's just the way it is. So we all went. that first night that we went, well, this is Saturday. Some of the brothers went out and, socialized or whatever, but I took them to stay in the room. And I was one of the folks to stay in the room. But when the brothers came back, they said, guess who we saw tonight? And we said, who? And they said, we saw Martin and Coretta. And we said, oh, come on. You too. They said, no, we saw them. At that point, I said with them, I said, I really need to go to this church. I said, if he's in town, I need to go to this church. I said, you don't understand. I can't explain it, but I just need to see him close. I need to get closer to it. And so we all talk about it, but it's cool. See, I know. So the five of us decided to go to Martin Luther King's church. The next, it's Sunday morning. And I said, we got to get there early. As you can tell, I still do that to this day. I like to get there early just to sit and watch as the people come in and blah, 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 because I don't want to be late. So we all went, and we went to Ebenezer Baptist Church, Atlanta, Georgia. Now, a couple of things. History, American history. Ebenezer Baptist Church is not Martin Luther King's church. That's church he joined. But it's his father's church. This is Daddy King's church. Right? And that's a whole different story. I encourage you that you'll read about Martin Luther King's father. And that'll give you an idea about why Martin Luther King did the things he did. Because there's one of the things from Martin Luther King graduated from Morehouse College with his bachelor's. And his daddy said, I want you to go and get another special degree. And I don't know if that degree would be from a predominant white college. He sent me to Boston University. And that was where Martin Luther King got his doctorate, Boston University. Thanks so much. So, this is a little song. Can anybody tell me? This is just from free. Who's the pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church now?
No, he's a senator.
There you go.
Snake, right there.
Laughing young one out. Just thought you get the power for the great. Raphael Warren out. Right? So he's the first African American senator from the state of Georgia since Reconstruction. Not to mention the fact that he's also an alpha man, but I digress. My good point. So my point is, Ebenezer is still there. Martin Luther King's church is in Alabama, right? Consumer, Rose Authority, the Board, blah, blah, blah. But she was visiting their church, and the reason that fraternity brothers of myself have in acknowledge. Okay, tell me God has not made things happen. Okay, so we went to this church, and I'm just on pins and needles. I can't see because I'm just so awestruck and everything. And I'm sitting in the church, and all of us sit together, of course. And we sit about the middle of the church. It's a good sized church, as you can tell from looking at it. And all of a sudden, Martin Luther King comes out by himself with the roll wall, very quietly, just fine, and says, now, he sat in something called a pulpit. Now, when you got to revolt, up there, it was an elevation, do what we call them in scenes, and then chairs on it, the minister sat on doing the entire service. That a lot of churches don't have that nowadays. But so Martin King came and he sat in the pulpit and used that 3 or 4 chairs, not a lot, just 3 things. And I focused on him the whole time. I watched every movie, man, every movie. I didn't know the same about. And so about 15, 20 minutes or so, other people came out, including his father. I call him Daddy King, came out and, they went to the service. Martin Luther King did not give the speech, the sermon. His father did. So at the end of the sermon, we're getting up and moving around or whatever. And so, we're all together. And so Big Brother Vincent, says, let's, and I said, okay. And so the 5 of us went to the bottom of the pulpit and the service is over now. And so we walk up the cell and so stand around. So short means he must have been a very tall guy. He's maybe about 5'6". Whatever. I just thought that was interesting. But anyway, yeah, I didn't rest. So we were saying about him, and I'm not tall. I can't see. Big brother does the same stuff like, Brother Katie, we're brothers from Beta Omicron, Choctaw, Tennessee State University, blah, blah, blah. Now, on spring break. And he said, oh, and I want to introduce you to little brother Choctaw. And he turned and he looked at me and he sort of smiled.
All right. And
And
take it down.
okay. The smile. I shook his hand and I didn't wash my hands for at least a month. But anyway, so we came back to campus, whatever. And so after that, we're now in 68. And so spring break is in 68 long way. And so then we heard that he was invited to speak at Vanderbilt University, which is a very, very large, very famous university in Nashville, Tennessee, predominantly white. And so, of course, we all went over to see to hear this is your speech. And so and it was an excellent speech. We were up in the rafters. It's Spencer's garage. Oh my goodness. But it was just extraordinary. The speech was extraordinary. And it was just vintage Martin Luther King. After that, not too long, maybe about a week or two after that, Martin Luther King was assassinated. This is April 68. And the country basically exploded. There were demonstrations / riots all over the place. Most college campuses, particularly the predominantly African-American college campuses, just erupted, including my campus, Tennessee State. And so what was interesting, and this is where the story takes a very unique turn here. My campus was completely locked down. This is a picture of the administration building at Tennessee State. Every time I see this picture, I think of my wife. We went to visit Tennessee some years ago. She took a picture of this building, and I have it hanging in my office at home at the present time. But anyway, so riots broke out everywhere. They broke out on my campus, and the National Guard was called out, and the National Guard was preventing school American community and civil advancement on the campus. And I was on 6th and 7th floor in my dorm, and I could look out my window in the parking lot, and there's with National Guard people with rifles lining the parking lot of my campus. And so we, obviously classes were suspended. The dean of students, Dr. Joseph Arthur Payne Jr., he was very old man, dressed impeccably. We all liked him, and we liked the way he spoke. He summoned me to his office. And he said, Mr. Choctaw, see back there, and they call him this on campus. And Mr. Choctaw, we need you to go with us to come to a meeting with us. And I said, the meeting. He said, we need you to come with us to a meeting in downtown Nashville to meet with the mayor and council people and the leaders downtown Nashville, because we need somebody to represent student body. And I said, Dr. Payne, I am not student council president. And he said, I understand that, Mr. Choctaw. He said, but student council president resigned immediately. When Martin Luther King was assassinated, he quit. He said, I am done with it. I am done with it. I will not do blah, 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 blah. I had been elected student council president. I was scheduled to take, I was a junior. I was scheduled to take office my senior year. So I said, oh, I'm about it. And in effect, Dr. Payne said, Miss Choctaw, you're it. We need you. And I said, okay. So we went to the meeting, and one can tell that the professors were very nervous on this thing. And I'm just a little person. Little brother Choctaw, little all these guys. And so we went, because I understood the gravity. I understood what he was telling me. And, and what he said, well, it makes sense. He said, they need to be reassured that the students at this college are not going to remain crazy. They need to be reassured that they can withdraw these National Guards and then change and not worry that something bad is going to happen. And they need to hear it from a student leader. They won't believe the professors because they don't think they know what we're talking. They need to hear from one of you guys. And so I went to the meeting and it's, it's tense. I said nothing. They told us. And Dr. Payne and his elegant way made the case, just very, very elegant. And so after the folks in downtown Nashville started asking questions, but what about this one about that? So then they turned to me and in essence said, can you assure that your students are going to go back to studying and you guys are going to do what you're supposed to do? And I said, yes, sir. So you got to understand, you say yes, sir, and yes, ma'am. Yes, yes, and no.
Mhm.
That's a different presentation. So then they said, okay, all right. They sent us back to campus. They did withdraw the National Guard in Chinese to the guys with the guns and all that sort of stuff. And the administration, the leaders, the president, vice president, Dr. Payne, they did what they need to do and everything was better. So that is another way that I was impacted by this whole thing in 1968. I had no idea about it. I said, that has nothing to do with it. But it just goes to show you never know. You are not in charge of this stuff. We are all actors on stage, and we don't control the program. We don't write the script. We're not the directors and the producers. We are actors or people on a stage. And as we always say, God is in charge. Moving on, the men of Alpha, around about 2010 and 2011, decided, what, there should be a model for our China development. That this country should recognize how great his man was and the people who helped him. And so it took them 15 years to get the Martin Luther King Memorial Monument job and approved. And it is presently in Washington, D.C. now. So if you ever visit Washington, D.C., I would encourage you to go to the Martin Luther King Monument. And it is the only monument for a non-military person in Washington, D.C. It is the only monument for a non-president who was a military person in Washington, D.C. But the men of Alpha did it. And just another example of the power and the glory of when God was in charge. Let me hasten to add that from an American history point of view, there are basically 4 African-American Chinese and basically 4 African-Americans together. So Alpha is not the only one. Alpha is not the only one. In this church, I sit every Sunday next to, a brother who's retired from the LA King, who's carried out the side, tease each other all the time. Yes. And so whenever I say, you wearing that great stuff again, sure, there you go. Brother Nickel, who the church photographer, and he made us our car. And we tease each other. When Omega celebrated their Founders Day, I congratulate you. So my point is that we're monastic brotherhood within the brotherhood. That's what I'm trying to say. And this is how we get stronger and better. I was sharing with Margaret earlier how I had learned so much, like from podcasting and the men's Sunday school class. True story. In my adult, I am 76 years old. In my adult life, I have, and this is why I say right away from high school, I have never consistently been in a predominantly Black male group in my life until the men's Sunday school class. That's right. That's right. Right. But I would never, So my point is that just in a predominant men's African American class is uniquely there. Over 50 years. I graduated from middle school 50 years ago. Okay, 73. So we continue to grow. That's what I'm trying. We continue. It doesn't stop. We continue to grow. Okay, almost done. Almost done. Shut down. Chill. Back in. Back in, about not too long ago, about 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, there was another big buzz going around about this tall, skinny kid from Chicago with a funny name. Okay. He had, and you notice he wrote a book called Dream of My Father, which so like me, he also had father had issues. See, he was dealing with quite a lot. So with foster hopes or whatever he had to deal with. But anyway, he was interested in politics, leadership and politics. And he ended up running in Chicago, ran against so African Americans and lost miserably, just being like a draw. But kept trying. One time, two times, I think. And then I think second and third time, finally won that whole district thing and then used that to then get to the Senate in Washington, D.C. He decided that he wanted to run for president. Now, you got to understand what the challenge is, not to mention the basic challenges of him looking the way he looks. But his name is Barack Hussein Obama. Think about that. Barack Hussein Obama. Who in the world would love a president? 9/11 with that kind of name. Right? So my point is there will always be obstacles. There will always be stumbling blocks. There will always be resistance. So what? So what? If you really want to do it, you go for it. So this guy, I started watching. Oh, this is interesting. I'm still wondering what this means. So when he decided to run for president and he was nominated, he was going through the process of trying to be nominated on the Democratic Party, I said, you know what? I like from here. I said, you got to prove to me you're the real deal. Right? And I said, my proof is you got to win an election in a predominantly white state by a reasonable majority. Okay? I said, if you can do that, then I'm with you. If not, I'll go stand on the sidelines. I'll wait with you and wish you well. But I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to. He did prove that. He won our caucus. I was about 90+% Caucasian, right? But okay, I'm in. I'm just, it's complete. And so we followed him on and on and on and on and on. When I said we, I'm talking about my best friend who's sitting in the chat. So we've been involved in it. So November 2007, second Tuesday, my best friend and I was sitting there, and she and I were watching the election result. CNN, Wolf Blitzer. Okay, Wolf Blitzer still at CNN. Listen, but he's still there. And as he announced, ladies and gentlemen, the next president of the United States is Barack, blah, 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 blah. We started jumping up and down and hugging each other and crying and screaming and yelling and blah, 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 blah. And then, I kid you not, she knows what's coming. I kid you not. My mother looked at me and said, I want to go to the inauguration. I said, what? She said, I want to go to the inauguration. I said, you know how many children are going to be at the inauguration? Do you really think? Or Washington, D.C. Then one can realize. It's the first week or the second week in January. She said, I don't care. I want to go to the inauguration. I said, let me see what I can do. So I called up Mary. we have status with narrative. And I said, we would like to go to the Barack Obama inauguration the second week in January. He said, we'll I said, Lord, they get back to us. And they said, we have some rooms in Virginia, right outside of Washington. And they're the Marriott Suites, something. And we got a couple rooms that are there. They said, Virginia is all like about 50 minutes to Washington. Get on the train, downtown Washington. Takes me longer to get to downtown Washington. I said, God, the best decision ever made in my life. Best decision ever made in my life. It was like a picnic. We met people from all over the world. Everybody was telling and speaking different languages and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And we were there for about a week. And since the inauguration, and so Obama standing in the foreground, we're sitting that tall building. Come on, man. That's the Washington Monument. Now, we're not that far back. Maybe like 2/3 of the way, which is where we are. Maybe we can't see us. The blood spot. Sands, places that says, places says, the place there were 1.8 million people, and the largest in the 1.8 million people. It was freezing. There's a river of baton. Yeah. And that when it came off the front, it was saying, "Oh, this is you imagine." But what struck me were the old people that I saw, people in wheelchairs, people on crutches, old African Americans, who said, "I can't get you, blah 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 blah." I never thought I'd see this in my lifetime. I thought blah 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 blah. So, needless to say, we were not able to touch the ball. That was building. But it was the most relaxed, fun I've ever had. And I've never been in a crowd. The military was in control of everything. And we got to see it close up on the race. And we have a map of the race. And we would run to the place where the praise over there and sit and wait for Michelle and Barack to come in case all that sort of stuff. And Barack was also determined. Keep in mind, this man gets probably 100 to 1,000 death threats per day. Think about that. In middle, phone call, all the hands are all the other station. That takes that right. And anything serves to pick it up. Right. And so he's determined he's got to get out and start walking on the street.
Yeah.
Says annual this. That's right. Right. What's the point is that threats and resistance is based on fear. If you are afraid, if you're not afraid, it can so. Now, yeah, bad things happen. I'm not saying, we just went through a lot of the bad things that happen on the street. But so what? So what? And basically, that was sort of what Obama said. So what? And so, needless to say, the rest is history. It's two terms. 8 years. Both families in the White House, including mother, no problems, no standards. Major legislation. One of the most important pieces of legislation that I talk about all the time is the Affordable Care Act.
Right. Yeah.
What do you mean for the Mexican? Oh, you talking about?
Yes, I did. And the important thing about Obamacare, particularly for those of us in the healthcare field, well, it's another thing. But one of the things that it forced all hospitals and all doctors, offices, and from the shield, without an edict from the federal government. It wouldn't have happened without a threat saying, you know what, if you don't computerize by XYZ day, we're going to stop sending you Medicare payment. Most hospitals and doctors' offices could not survive without Medicare and Medicaid patients. Because the government figured out that it pays the money. It's the money. Okay? So as a result, and so now is one of the big things about Obamacare. Second big thing about Obamacare is it's sort of level playing field. In this country, the biggest cause of bankruptcy is people getting sick. The only civilized country in the world that has that. Europe doesn't have it. England doesn't have it. Canada doesn't have it. The Asian countries don't have it because they have a centralized type of medicine, right? Here it's private for the most part. Now we have Medicare, Medicaid, but a large part of it is fine. If you have money who can afford this, if you don't have money who can afford it, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So huge point about the healthcare. And another thing that we're going to talk about a couple of weeks from now is the increased patient rights, things like advanced directives. I'm going to be your doctor, and I have a duty to inform you about what you need to have done to you. Say, operation. When you as a patient have a right to refuse,
You know, the operation needed.
even though it's what?
The operation needed.
Even though it's operation needed, she's your right.
That's right.
And so thank you, Dr. Choctaw. You're a nice guy, and I like you, and I like all that stuff that you done, but I don't think so. No. I just don't. I choose not to do. And so it had tremendous fundamental effect. So, winding down, God is at charge. These are my basic principles. I start out with my beliefs and I end up with my basic principles. God is in charge of my life and has been. And you do not know the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I advise you or encourage you to seek out his guidance and to follow his teaching. I know bad days. I do not have bad days. I've said it before. And I figured out about 30 years ago that days on the good or bad if I said they were. So I don't have bad days. Don't sweat the small stuff, and most stuff is small. You will find the things that you worry about and agonize over usually are insignificant. And most of the time you have control over that. And so you can stop. Forgiveness is therapy. When someone does or says something to you that you think is negative or you interpret as negative, forgive them immediately. Don't try to look at the facts. Just go ahead and do it. And fifth principle is everything is a relationship. Everything is a relationship. Relationships are based on three things: mutual respect, mutual trust, good communication. If you have those three things, you have a good relationship. If you do not, then you have a relationship. The history continues. Where will you be in this line of leadership? What will you do? I suggest to you to have a conversation with the person in the mirror, and you decide what's best for you. But the struggle continues. The legacy continues. I suggest to you, have a conversation with the person in the mirror and say, well, what is my legacy? What am I going to, what am I going to do to make things just a little bit better? We all have that courage. We all have that right. We all have that opportunity. And of course, if you are not completely happy with the way the world is, you be the change that you want to see in the world. Thank you.
All right. Matt.
Are there any questions?
Very clear, makes the spirit informative.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You know it.
Very good. So we can thank all of you at Zoom.
Was anybody on Zoom that had any questions?
Okay. Have a great day.
Right.